Hello, good evening, and welcome back to JACKOCAR. This is the Kia series, and we took a little bit longer there because the game wasn't letting me broadcast. That's why we kind of sat in silence for a little bit. But welcome, my name is Gareth. You are listening to the Kia series, and guess what? After found wandering in the Himalayas, he was speaking a different language. He was caught wearing nothing but a pair of luminous orange socks and boxers and a pair of bright blue trainers. We found him. Owen White is back with me. How are you doing, Owen?
Yes, I've returned from my journeys. I've returned to a soaking wet Mexico City, and I've returned with near enough a skinhead, actually. No one's seen that yet. It's a shame I didn't go to Carton at the weekend. You would have lost your minds.
Yes, yeah, actually that did happen this weekend. Yeah, and it's obviously if you haven't seen on the social media platforms that's gone out, it was the JACKOCAR and VSL karting day at the weekend at Thruxton in the UK. Went absolutely swimmingly. Really, really good to see everyone, meet people for the first time, and catch up with a few older faces as well. Big thanks to Jacko for organising that. Had a lot of fun. Good evening to everyone joining us here from, as you say, Owen, a very, very wet Mexico City, the highest density population capital on the planet, Mexico City. And, well, everyone, raincoats and umbrellas.
Definitely raincoats and umbrellas, and this is where we'll obviously find out who's actually decided to practice for this and who hasn't, because they're going to be in for a bit of a baptism of fire as they head round. And, yeah, I'm fascinated to see how they're going to get on. I don't think we get many opportunities to see them in the full wet in qualifying, especially like this, because sometimes it'll blend from dry to enter to wet, but this looks like it's going to be wet the whole way through, although Jacko, as there always is at least someone doing it, has already changed his tyres to intermediates in anticipation for his run, but he doesn't go for a little while.
No, it will be Kingan out first, joining us for the first time this season, I believe, Kingan. But Isaac Edema will be out on circuit around about the 16-minute mark, and this is throwback week in Kia, so these guys are all running throwback liveries. You'll see throwback week happening on Thursday as well. However, it'll be around the streets of Monte Carlo in Monaco for Cup, which you can catch with Owen and Jacko in the comms box, hopefully, for that one. I'm sure if Jacko can wrangle Owen after his party lifestyle he's been leading outside, giving up JACKOCAR for birthday parties. That is shameful.
Well, listen, it's not every year you turn 21, is it? So, I mean, you got to give me a little bit of an excuse. And that's a bit weird, because some of you will have known me since I was 15, which is just a bit odd, isn't it? I've been here for too long now. I look like an old man. I sound like an old... I don't really. I feel like an old man. And, yeah. Sorry.
That's not a good sign for me, as I turned 34 this year. So
well, at least I don't have any grey hairs yet.
That is true. Well, that happened a long time. That happened about your age, to be fair. But as we wait for Isaac to make his way out on circuit, just give you a quick roundup. And I know that everyone is waiting under bated breath for everyone's favourite section of qualifying, which I've purposefully kept from Owen, so he has no idea about what's going to happen. But this is Mexico City.
This better be a rip-off of one of my old... You know, I've had a few things in qualifying in the past few years. I guarantee this is something I've done before. I'll be amazed.
I'm interested now, because if you've done this before, then hats off to you. But
wow.
Track length 4.3 kilometres. That's 2.6 miles. Second shortest of the F1 calendar. Only Monaco shorter than this one. Distance turn 1, 800 metres, just shy of half a mile. Longest of the season. Longest straight is that straight from the final corner at the Perotada down to turn 1. 1.3 kilometres, that's 0.8 of a mile, where the top speed will hit up around at 210 to 216 miles an hour. It's 345 kilometres an hour. Full throttle for 47% of the lap, and it is quite a high ERS demand circuit. A lot of straights, a lot of places to get on the throttle pedal. It's 44 gear changes over the lap. That's 3,124 over a 50% race distance, which we will be doing after this one-shot quali style that we have here in JACKOCAR, and one shot in the way of not your typical one shot like you see on the game. However, these guys will do one out lap, one fast lap, and one in lap. So that is all you get. And out on circuit first, I believe, it's due to be Kingan. Is it Kingan? It is Kingan. And let me just go double check, because of course everyone running their throwback liveries. And Kingan is running the Marcus Ericsson Nashville 2021 race winning livery. So
that bodes well.
Yes, yes. So put down a statement, and as he goes out on circuit, and basically his job is to be the tractor and clear the water for everyone.
Well, this is the thing. He's got a job to do here now. Not crash. We often see in situations like this, the first guy going out sticks it straight in the wall, and it always sort of ruins the first run. So the rain already looks a little bit lighter, so I can see why people might be considering the intermediates. Yuri has soft selected. If we end up in soft, I'll be pretty amazed. But I mean, look how much Kanan's already struggling.
Yeah, so he's going to come into the section, the Jamie Wright corner, just on the right hand side here, as Jamie Wright tends to put it in the wall on the exit of that final or that corner at turn 9. But what can the Swede do? As he well, probably not that when it comes to your flying lap. However, seen as the cars will be going a little bit slower, you may actually be able to get away with going offline because you won't be carrying as much speed, so the game doesn't recognise you're actually making up time. But what does Kingen do? And Kingen actually ran for Swedish Parliament in the Vänsterpartiet, who are known for their extreme eco-socialist views. He was unsuccessful in September 2022, but he aims to run in 4 years' time. How do you think about that, Owen?
That is fascinating that he's doing this while driving. Well, it's not a real racing car, is it? But yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fact he failed, though, but maybe he'll succeed next time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I sound like a real prick when I say that.
Oh, well, you know, just kick a man whilst he's down, wait for him to spin it out. But he's out there as well. He's actually running. Looks like he's running the Marcus helmet. Marcus helmet. That's a different driver. Marcus Ericsson helmet style as well with the Swedish flag livery. So out there really repping the man that, of course, took the opening race winner of the IndyCar season back at St. Pete a few weeks ago, and also, of course, your last season 3-time winner, Detroit, Indianapolis 500, and in Nashville as well. So making his way into the sweeping section, off of the throttle, keeping it off of the puddles, and
enters now. Look at it.
Yeah, it is really starting to line up. So Jacko was right when he moved straight over onto the inters. So that's a shame for Kingen, because he's now. I mean, we've seen in the past that when the rain tends to come down in the late stages, and I think it was back in China in Cup where the faster guys had to do it in the rain. This time it looks as though, unfortunately, it's going to be the slower guys that are going to be caught up by the changing conditions. But around the final corner does come Kingen, and what can he do? It looks as though it's going to be in the low 30s. It's going to be a 30.702.
Oh, he nearly hits the wall there. And the number 88, I've noticed that as well. I know Mark Saxon runs the 8. I guess Kingen couldn't get the 8, but 2 8s are better than 1. So, yeah, it's a shame he gets unlucky with the way the conditions are there, because there's nothing you can do about that. But I suppose it leads to that being one of those rare situations in a wet qualifying session where the qualifying order, which is, of course, what decides, is decided based on the championship order. Obviously, the championship leaders go at the end. It rewards them for being at the front because they're going to get the best conditions today. As Risky gets himself around the final corner in what looks to be a Lotus of some kind, but I'm sure you'll tell me. I actually need to get the list of all the liveries.
Yes, don't worry, that's been changing as the day's gone on. So Risky does go fastest, 31.300. It's a Lotus T127 driven by Jarno Trulli and Heikki Kovalainen as part of the 2010 season. So he's gone for an early 2010s livery. And actually, where's my fact about Risky? Don't worry, Sullivan, I've got something about you as well somewhere on here. He's actually the current president of the hashtag Men for Barbie campaign, which is currently trying to legalise the marriage between men and the plastic toys enjoyed by children since the 1950s. There's currently 18 members of this fan club, another of which is in the league, but only referenced as JR in the meeting minutes.
Fascinating fact once again there, Gareth. I'm going to obviously try and make it sound like I believe the word you're saying the whole time. That's part of the fun. As I look at what looks to be a Ferrari for Vitinho. A good Ferrari at that. Must be one of the... I don't have it in front of me, but it must be a Ferrari.
No, I'm not having anyone doing Ferraris. I did say that I was gonna abuse anyone that gave the car for Ferrari. It's just a red car with a white wing.
The white wings are what do it, though. That's a naughty's Ferrari if I've ever seen one.
It's missing an end plate, however.
It is actually, isn't it? Oh, and
it's missing more than that.
The whole front wing now.
If you joined me last week, you would. I unfortunately, I think it was last week. Maybe it was the week before. No, it was. Sorry, it was in Japan. Everyone was, I was basically teasing Victor for the fact that he basically runs the whole race without a front wing. But proving us right there as he finishes the lap without a front wing. But he goes and does a 36.3. Victor Souza, who had his face tattooed with the letters from the Brazil World Cup winners 2014, the day before they were beaten 7-1 in the semi-finals by Germany. So on to Harry Collier. He's out on there on the wet tyres. So he decided to go out on the wets. Didn't think that the Inters were quite there. And Harry's livery, in fact, this is quite an interesting one. If I could just quickly flick over to my notes, just to double check it is Harry that's running this one. Not quite retro, however, it is... Come on, word. It is. It's the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
No, it's not.
I would have put it slightly more aqua blue than that.
Yeah.
But Harry...
The tyres look more blue than the Mystery Machine.
That is true, as Harry's going to drift his way around the final corner, making his way across the line to finish off his lap. He was the motion designer for 9 dinosaurs on the Jurassic Park series of movies. It included him being covered in motion detectors and walking around pretending to be a therizinosaur for about 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
They're going to keep coming.
I'm fascinated to see what Jacko's been up to.
Jacko, where are you? So Jacko, he is running Jimmy Johnson's livery from his 81st, second and third and final race win before he went off and massively underwhelmed in IndyCar. But of course, one of the greatest ever NASCAR drivers and your resident NASCAR aficionado is here repping that livery as he comes around the final corner. He should ideally set the fastest time. He's on the intermediate times. It's going to be close though. It's going to be about a 30. It's 31.173. So does just take pole position ahead of Risky, and Jacko has actually stolen over £40,000 from a local cat shelter. He was heard shouting outside at 3 a.m. last night saying, "What are you going to do about it? Dog army, dog army." Nasty piece of work is Jacko. But over now to, I believe, Matt Shepherd.
Yes, this must be, again, I'm going to try and guess it. This must be a late 90s Minardi.
It's not. I would have given.
No?
I would have thought that as well, because that would have been quite a nice that sort of Tora Takagi style Minardi from the late 90s. But
98, I think.
No, this is I believe a WS. It's a World Superbike livery. It is the Hansbury 10 Cater Honda World Superbike livery from the early 2010s. So World Superbikes, 2 wheels for Mr. Shepherd, and he puts it onto the second row, a 35.113 for him. And don't worry about your profiles, guys. I'll get round to. We'll just make sure we catch everyone's quali laps, because over to, I believe, it's Quinn up next, and he's out there running the Renault R24, which I believe was the one before the bent launch control system in Alonso's championship winning seasons, but it was one that was raced by Fernando Alonso and, what would 2003 been? Fisichella, maybe? Yeah, it was Fisichella.
Yeah, no, truly.
It all blends into one around that sort of time, but
does a bit, doesn't it?
Yellow and blue. Yeah, the blue's almost there. Maybe a little bit more light blue, but puts it into P4 with a 32.680, and Quinn will be out later on, hoping to improve on their lap time, because we've still got a number of drivers that have got their laps coming up. One of those is Bazza, who's making his way around the circuit now. He's just coming up to the hairpin section at the end of the start of the second sector, and Bazza is also running the BMW M3 Need for Speed Most Wanted livery. So I like that stock. Yeah, that's almost like the very much the Need for Speed and Fast and Furious style. It's like the ice blue and the greys and the whites, all very nice colours, all very nice for a reason. It's a nice looking livery as well.
It's interesting. Obviously, we're talking about all these facts and liveries and stuff, but the track is actually, if we get back to the actual driving, it still looks terrible out there, even on intermediates, and we've only seen one driver, being Jacko, get anywhere near Risky's time, and Baz is not going to get anywhere near it, so this track condition is proving to be very unpredictable at the moment.
It is, and clearly in that window between the wets and the inters that we've seen people struggling in, much in the same way that the inters and the dries have that strange window. But Robin Border, he's running the Alexandra Premar Audi DTM 2010 livery on that one, the sky blue. Of course, DTM back in its heyday in the early 2010s before it's been in that really sad decline over the last few years with various different drivers and manufacturers pulling out, and he does, unfortunately, invalidate that lap. So he will be starting currently towards the back end of the field. So that leaves us with a few more out on circuit. We've got Denny Hamlin, Speed Newgarden out there, and that's not how you exit that corner, Matt Rosemond. But you did do a good job on your livery. But
only 4 more drivers out here who can stop Jacko taking pole. I don't know how many times this has happened before in history, but I'm sure there'll be someone who has the numbers. This is getting quite nerve-wracking for everyone who wants to see this league go places.
Yeah. I'm sure Jacko's feeling that as well. If you're thinking, this isn't my tier, I shouldn't be doing anything like this. But Michel Goris, what can Michel do? He's out there in looking at the list. Where was it's the McLaren MP4-4, of course it is. The white and the red. And it is, that's, of course, 1988, 9? It's one of the two. I can never remember. The liveries that we saw the clash between Senna and Prost. Before Prost then moved on to Ferrari, and we saw the same thing at the same circuit the year after, fighting for the championship. And Michel, who's actually taken 2 poles this season already, the last 2 races, I want to say, he's taken pole position at. So, of course, because it was Rico on debut back in Hungary that took it when it was dry, and then went to, was dry right at the start and then went to wet later on in the session. But what can Michel do? Currently tracking to go pole. It's 29.314, takes pole position by around about 0.8 of a second.
Well, 1.8 seconds actually. He's miles clear. That's what we were expecting to see earlier on, though. I'm surprised it's taken this long, and Splinter's not going to get up there because he has invalidated out there. Jess has won in the Kia Series before. She has also been having a decent Cup Series run. In these sorts of conditions, could we call her a shout for pole here if she can get this lap together?
She always is quite nervous in the wet, especially running. She has said that running medium TC that she doesn't quite feel comfortable just yet, but she has got a decent shout. As you say, my math was slightly off. I missed the fact it was a 31 for Jacko and a 29 for Michel, but she can easily fit herself in that sort of top 3-row window if she can push it out here. As you say, shame for Splinter. He's running the FW13B Williams livery. That's Mansell, I think that was. Was that Mansell?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, versus as Jess is also out there running a livery that she's run previously. It's her season 2/3 Kia Series livery, the one where she reached her first ever playoff campaign, and she will be hoping for a decent run into the final stadium section and hopefully charging up towards the front few rows of this grid, as she currently sits second in overall points in Kia this season. So she's having a solid season. Hasn't picked up too many playoff points, but she'll be looking for a decent quality lap time here. And there you go, P2 for Jess. Probably her best quality result we've seen so far. But one more driver is out on circuit, and that is Yuri.
Got to be favourite then after Jess. Already a second faster than Jess through the first sector alone, and so very much will be on the pace with Michel Goris, assuming that the pace keeps picking up at that rate. Not a massive surprise to see Yuri out there on top, if he can indeed make it there, because we've had this debate many times. When will he finally leave this tier? But he'll be trying to do it with the championship, I suppose, and he'll certainly be looking at that pole position. I'd be amazed if he doesn't get it.
Yeah, and he, like you say, he's basically stat padding just being here at the moment. But he's out there running the Arie Ludendyk livery that was the 1990 Indy 500 race winner, which actually it looks quite nice. It looks quite relatively close as well. And Arie Ludendyk, which is who's actually got the final corner at Zandvoort named after him, the Ludendyk box. And he does take pole 28.008, smashes it by 1.3 seconds. Get out of this tier, Yuri Hasselager, as he takes pole position. Look at the gap between P1 and P3. There's a 2.8 second advantage there between Yuri and between Jess. But On the livery that Arie Ludendyk ran back in that race, he had Dutch Boy as the sponsor on the blue part of the livery at the back. So I might just call him Dutch Boy for the rest of the evening, because that's seemingly more degrading than actually addressing him by his name.
Not even going to let the stat pad by name anymore.
No, not at all. But the great lap there from Dutch Boy, and I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with that. And whilst we've got some time before the end of qualifying, I will just go back through the driver profiles, because it's completely new to Owen. It was something that I was basically doing to fill the time whilst you weren't here during qualifying, because it was quite hard to do the same lap over and over again. So Yuri Hasselager, no, it's fine. You go off and have fun. Yuri Hasselager prepares for races by eating Capsalon and 13 Stroopwafels during qualifying. Currently holds the record for most amount of clogs painted in 1 hour. He takes pole position, however, by 1.3 seconds. Michelle Gorius makes it another all-Dutch front row. We saw that back in Singapore as well. Jess, probably her best ever quali result in P3. Jacko will be happy with P4. Risky equally up there in P5 as he drops down from Cup in a race that he can finally compete in. Kingen in P6 with Quinn 7th, Baz at 8th, Matt Shepnire, Vitinho 10th with Harry Collier, Newgarden, Raisbrand and Lesty. And then outside, starting on the final row, will be Splinter and Rico. So a couple of drivers with some work to do. And one of those being Jamie Bromley, of course, Splinter. Actually competed in the Athens 2000 Olympics in rhythmic gymnastics and won a bronze medal. He's also classically trained as a harpist, but only plays one song, which is weirdly the Nintendo Wii theme. But get him on the harp. He's really good at it. But there we go, blue skies. But I can do them with a straight face when you're not laughing.
I know. Apologies.
No, it's fine. So who else? What else have we got? We've got a few others whilst we wait for these guys to get their livery, their setup. So Matt Lester. So Lesty, after his opening win in the first race of the season, became so intoxicated that he wandered into a nearby river cruise and woke up in Vienna. The reason why he's missed the last 2 races is he's actually been walking back and hitchhiking back to his house. So congratulations, welcome back, Matt Rosemond.
I was with. Exactly. Rando.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Just walk past each other on the way out there. Yeah. Matt Rosemond was actually the first person ever to discover the island of Aruba back in 1529 when he was in his late 40s. He's actually currently receiving treatment for salt poisoning after he ate an entire jar of Marmite with nothing but a spoon. Weirdly, that's Matt's thing. But he'll be lining up in the pack towards the back at P12, and we'll see what everyone has gone for when it comes to tyres, because my apologies. The Joker tonight, which is, of course, the one-stop strategy, everyone else running a mandatory 2-stop, is Harry Collier. So he has gone for the hard tyres.
Well, we'll see how they work in race trim. I'm always a bit wary about the hards for a starting stint, but in JACKOCAR, it's one of those few leagues where it can actually work. We have seen in previous F1 games, though, the 2-stop be pretty good round here, so yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how that all works out. Risky as well, the only driver in the top, there's 2 drivers in the top 10, Matt Shepard and Risky. You need 2 in there on the mediums. With a run so long towards turn 1, and Harry Collier is going to have to do this as well as Leslie, also on mediums, it's one of the longest, if not the longest run towards turn 1 all season. So you could see a bit of sort of jostling for position in there, and it could even let that top 4 get away. Again, we haven't seen, I don't know how many times we've seen Jess in the top 3. She tends to be better at sort of doing her own thing and getting a good result out of it rather than being under pressure, but she's going to have to deal with that pressure today. And there's a lot that can happen, basically, with the way the tyres are set up and the way the drivers are set up.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I've kind of always taken umbrage with Jess about, is that if she wants to get into Championship 5, she wants to compete, but if you're going to do that, you have to you have to race. You can't just tentatively make your way around and be picking up points and podiums occasionally here and there. When you're in a position like she's in, like P3, she's got Jacko alongside her in P4. Jacko's not going to give up any quarter with any of the guys behind him. He's got the likes of Risky, of Kingan, of Quinn behind him. So she's going to need to fight it going into turn 1, not give up positions because she's on the right tyre. Of course, these guys will be able to stop after P3, as we've got both Kingan and Quinn making contact at the Perotada for P6 and P7, so they will be starting around about a foot and a half back from their grid slot, and cue the Quinn rage from that. But Yuri will be leading us away from pole position, and Michelle Goris gets disqualified, rolled too far forward. Jess slots in nicely, Jacko equally, and there is the shot of the grid as Risky tried to park in the about 3.5 miles away from his grid slot, so he's got disqualified from that one, and so has Splinter. But here we go, getting us ready for the race. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights on, pause, off and away, and it's a good start from Yuri, but it looks as though it's a really good start equally from Michelle Goris. Michelle's going to tuck in behind him, and as we go directly under, and that's a lovely camera shot there, but let's have a look going down into turn 1. Who's got the whole shot? It is Yuri down the inside. Jess is going to hug it around the outside, but Risky's made a really decent start already now up into P3. Behind Jess sits in P4. Quinn now up into P5. Jacko's had a horror start, bound to P9.
Yeah, Jacko was down there by about halfway down the main straight, so I can only assume he's had a really slow reaction time. And Matt Shepard just had to slow right down on that back straight as he had to let some people through. It lets Jess back onto 4th place, and she's lucky to still be going there. She was nearly caught up in an accident, as we see Matt Shepard caught up in an accident with Fatinho, I believe it was, or actually it would have been Kanan, I apologise. We're going to get a virtual safety car because there's a front wing off of Rageman, but there's no cars retired, so I believe it's going to stay that way. Hopefully Rageman has time to get back to the pits. Splinter has nearly stopped on track. Is he having to let people through? This could cause some real problems here. He's actually pulled right off the track, and well, that's going to put these guys way behind the pack, trying to catch up under their delta. They should be alright actually, because they'll be able to build up time. Another car off in the middle of the pack. It's Baza, as he picked up some sort of puncture. I don't know what he'd be doing in the middle of the S's under VSC. We go green now at the end of all that, so that was quite hectic in the end. And Michelle Goris has a really decent restart, and you can see Yuri weaving like a madman across that main straight.
Yeah, sorry, I was just curious by Bazza there, why, as you say, why he was in the infield in the SS section under the VSC, and yeah, no puncture for him, but yeah, real shame there for the Matt Shepard. A little bit of a tangle it seemed between himself and King, and well, once that were around, it was a concertina effect, and we saw the one that hurt out. That was Rageman. No front wing for him, and this pit stop does not count as a mandatory pit stop. The same, or the new rule that applies in the Cup Series has not filtered down into the Kia Series just yet, and equally they cannot make that first pit stop until after the 3rd lap has been completed. So these guys will be out there. Unfortunately, that puts them basically a pit stop down on everyone else. They'll be hoping for a safety car, which I don't think we'll probably have to wait too long for, knowing how people drive around Mexico into the sweeper section in the 2nd sector. But the top 3 are definitely already making a breakaway. That's a 2.8 second gap they've got over Quinn. Jess now 1.8 seconds off the back of Quinn. She's now got Jacko for company, who's back on the recovery path after that shocking start from him, and we've got Bazza off, as I said, in the sweeping section, so that's twice in 2 laps he's gone off at this part of the there's a word in there somewhere, this part of the circuit. There we go. And he's gonna have to get off the throttle. Ooh, get off the curbs. That's not where you want to be. It's not a go-kart. It will turn him around.
Feels like that's what low ride, high tire pressure. That's going to be a long race for him if it keeps doing it like that. As Rageman has nearly put it in the wall. Jacko got himself past Jess, and now Lesty is going to get past Jess as well. Again, as we say, she's just minding her own business, but it's costing her positions at the moment. We see Michelle Goris, no DRS until after these S's, because that's where the first of 2 detection points are on the track. And he's staying well within that second. Risky is just about to get back in though. He'd fallen outside, but Michelle has backed off, I would say, deliberately there, actually, to not get too close in towards the stadium section. Give him some time to breathe, let Yuri feel the pressure, which he is feeling. He's missing the apex on the way into that stadium section. He's all right through it. But interesting that Michel Goris, knowing that it would let Risky back in DRS, decided to slow it down. In fact, Yuri's not even going to have any of it. He's into the pits, as we see Matt Shepard retire. That's an accident. That's a safety car. Ooh. Perfect timing if you're Yuri, and I would say Quinn was enough committed into there to be okay. But I think it's they're allowed to do one of their stops now, aren't they, on the safety car? See,
this is where we're going to have to get that confirmed, because I don't know if that ruling has been filtered down into the key yet. Yes, I think it was unfortunately Rico gets himself a drive-through penalty speeding under the safety car.
Jacko's pitted, has he? Yeah, Jacko's pitted, so it must be. He would not break his own rule. So I'm saying all these are mandatory.
You say that, but Iceman created the rules and managed to get himself a DSQ last week for not doing enough pit stops. So we can see that people do the dum-dum when they're not paying attention. But Michel Goris is still leading. And now we are under the safety car. We've got some time as the safety car parks up on the exit the first few corners. So I can actually tell you what Michel Goris does in his spare time. And he actually attends Renaissance fairs at the weekends where he cosplays as Lady Tabitha of Zvol. He often designs his own dresses in his studio and weaves freshly cut tulips into the clothing. So does enjoy himself out there, does Michel Goris. And Leroy is absolutely appalled of my pronunciation of Ari Luijendijk.
Ari Luijendijk, yeah.
Ari Luijendijk.
I'm sitting there thinking, is that actually how you say it? Because
I
surely
don't
Gareth wouldn't
know.
get that wrong.
It's a made-up language.
It's Ari Luijendijk. I'm not the only one who thought that's a bit weird.
Oh, it's a made-up language. They decide to put random letters in words and call it a language, don't they?
Well, it is fake German, isn't it?
Well, that's true, and German is just basically code. So Michel's out there, and what this does do, however, as you say, this does help Yuri massively. It means he's only dropped down to P8 on those brand new medium tyres. Michel's now going to be out on slightly longer on these softs. Now the softs do go off, but it's not as much as we've seen back in the likes of Hungary, in which they can only really do 5 laps before they really start to die. But he's now got Risky, who started on the medium tyre, and Lesty, who started on the medium tyre, sitting right behind. So maybe not the most ideal place for Michel to be, as Newgarden picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, and Matt Shepard leaves us with a retirement. So unfortunately for Matt, he's actually lost it in the S section.
Newgarden's a lap down now, by the way. He's just about kept it on, but he's cheating a little bit. He's going to end up in a bit of trouble here, because he's got this drive-through penalty and driving a bit like a madman. Don't know if he's actually been off the track to cause the drive-through, although he would have been speeding. He's got a lot of damage to his floor based on all the gravel on it. But yeah, I didn't realise it was going so badly for him. I only just caught him just because I saw him off in Narnia in the S's.
Yeah, and he won't be able to serve it under the safety car either. So
under safety car, no need to be doing that on a safety car.
That's a track extension penalty. Isaac, what are you doing? There's no reason to be cutting corners under the safety car. You're doing about 70 miles an hour at the moment. There's no reason to be going quick enough to... I mean, how have you even got the grip to go off circuit? But lap 6 of 36, so plenty of racing left to go. However, you can see the grid is a little bit spread out by the fact that Newgarden has only just exited turn 3. He's now on his way now behind the likes of Banzer, Rageman and Rico. So we did, of course, see pit stops on the first lap for Rageman, and it may be a case of Matt Shepard was suffering with some damage picked up with that clash that he had on lap 1. But unfortunately for him, it is the end of his day. The man, of course, had his dossier unfortunately read out last week during last week's qualifying session. So his plan as given to him was unveiled and he was unmasked. But well, he has actually been hiding in a safe house over this week, and I wouldn't want to give you, of course, the details of where he is and how to find him, but it is 49 Avery Way, Chiddingstone in Kent, so if you'd like to catch him, that's where he is. But Matt Shepard now out of this race, but Michelle Goris leading from Risky. Matt Lester P2. Jess now back up to P4, however, really did fall back off the start, so she's just doing that thing where she just stays out of trouble and seemingly seems to find her way back towards the field. Vitinho equally back up in P5, and Splinter just doing his thing where he just tries to stay out of trouble. Splinter, who basically starts about 4 seconds later than everyone, so he tries to ignore everything and all the chaos that goes on at turn 1 and turn 2, and still inevitably happens to get caught up in something towards the end of the race. So he's now in P6. Harry Collier on that Joker is in P7, so he would have perhaps wanted the guys on the softs to have come in and move them up the field a little bit, because at the moment all he's got now is the 3 guys that have started and already made their pit stops on a set of fresh mediums behind him.
I've decided to message Jacko while we have one more lap of safety car and hope to Christ he's able to write either yes or no at some point about this safety car rule, whether it is just for the Kia series or Cup series or both. Let's say the fact he pitted would make me suggest that yes, it is for both, but obviously that will decide quite a lot of this race if based on whether these 3. I mean, Yuri's okay and Quinn I think is okay. Jacko actually might well be the only one who would be in question if the rule doesn't cross over. So if we get any confirmation on that, I'll let you know. But the rest of the field, bar Baza, again, Baza, it might count for him, but he's miles away from the safety car. But we'll see. Yeah,
I mean, Baza has got a way to go, and he's had a couple of trips through the infield.
Got the answer. It's only in Cup.
I thought so.
Season.
So surely that was a non-mandatory.
Jacko must have made a non-mandatory stop then. He must have done, because Yuri had only just got to the pit lane entry, as had Quinn. Really, by the time the safety car had come out, there's no chance in hell Jacko.
Yeah. I think that's a Jacko VAR on both Quinn and Jacko. Is Quinn thinking that he was allowed to make that stop under the safety car in Kia like we were allowed in Cup? And so if that's the case,
as far as my job today, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're going to have to scroll back and see where Quinn was come the safety car announcement, because I don't think he was close enough to the Pelotada to say that he was in the pit lane, because it is a very, very small pit lane entry here. It's only really about 10 metres or so, but safety car restart, Michelle Goris and Risky.
I'd say Quinn's good. I'd say Jacko, it's hard to tell, but I'd say Quinn's definitely good. Jacko's a bit on the edge.
Here we go. Ready for the restart. Number 1, we had 5 last week. Let's hope we don't get that many this time around, but it's a good restart from Michelle. Behind, they're all going to splinter and, scatter around the circuit. You can see already Vitinho pulling to the inside to get a move done on Jess. So he moves up into P4, moves Jess back down into P5 behind. They're all moving around. Yuri defending from the likes of Quinn and Harry Collier. Quinn dives down the inside, takes 8th position off of Harry, of course, on those hard tyres. Risky holding P2, and
Quinn's got Yuri. That could be for the lead. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's a big move. He's made that stick, and they're still side by side. I mean, this is the one to watch, Gareth.
Yep, on board with Quinn. He's going to surely go deep and make it hard for Yuri to go around the outside. Yuri's going to try and hang around it. Is there contact? There is a little bit of a tag, but not enough. Oh, big send from Jacko there. Yuri's got the inside line now. Does he run Quinn out wide? No, there's a lot of space between the pair of them. That's very fair and nice of you, Yuri. I would have driven him off to down to the other side of Mexico if I were you there, but he does take the position and holds P7 and takes it back from Quinn. So Quinn now in that Renault R24 back down into P8, but with Jacko closing in behind as Harry Collier's lost position, and there goes a massive amount of front wing. Who was that off of? Someone lost an end plate that went about 40 metres up in the air. I believe that might have been Harry Collier, or Kingan lost an end plate.
Puncture has Harry Collier, but no damage, so it's not his front wing that's come off. Well, how unlucky is that? Newgarden's also pissing backwards, but whose front wing's gone missing then? It's not the race leader, or at least who was the race leader, Michelle Goris.
Or Jacko stacking.
It's Vitinho. It's Vitinho and his Ferrari. Once again, missing parts of that car.
As Jacko stacks behind Splinter, so that's going to hurt him. He's making his stop. And
I guess admitting his fault as well there.
Yeah, you've got to think so. So we are still under green, so this is a green flag stop, so these guys can do this, of course, but Risky now leading the way, so still yet to stop, and taking the NASCAR route, as we saw if any of you were watching the race around COTA this weekend, where they were basically told there's no track limits whatsoever apart from the S's section in the first sector, in which they were only allowed to they were basically allowed to not cut one corner, which seemed odd, but nevertheless risky.
That's a straight line most of it then at that point.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. As is risky making his way now with Matt Lester, of course, race winner, the first race of the season behind him, around about 1.5 seconds. So he's not going to have the benefit of the DRS, but he will have a little bit of tow, and they both stick it out, and there is the first stage going the way of Sullivan Lewis. So Sully takes first stage, lap 9 until lap 10, so he will take 1 playoff point to his name. However, I don't believe Sully is a full-time member of Kia, so won't go into the playoffs. So I'm sure he'll be able to wring the neck of Jacko and say, go on, let me have a stab at it. But of course he is meant to be a full-time Cup driver. He's dropped down to Kia, seeing as he's free, and doesn't seem to be free these days. He seems to work about 70 hours a week, does Paul Risky. But Lesty doing a nice job there in P2. Yuri now already up to P3 and only 2.5 seconds off the back of them.
I'd say the fight to watch here, though, is Quinn and Yuri, because Quinn, I think, is being quite clever here. He's staying nice and close. DRS is enabled on this lap. He's got a lot more ERS by about 30%. So I would be looking at this for the race lead. Of course, Harry Collier picking that puncture up has ruined his Joker strategy. So yeah, it's looking at it's only going to be these two for the win at the moment, because Quinn's going to get 3 DRS zones here. He has a chance to save ERS for a while if he wants to before going for it.
Yeah, he's down on 44%, so he has used quite a heap of it already trying to stay with Yuri. But as you say, he's got the ability to make the move. He can just sit with him. And if I was Quinn, that's what I'd be doing at the moment. I wouldn't be forcing the move, but he's on the battery. You've got a yellow flag out for Vitinho. But here comes Quinn. He's in the slipstream as Yuri's out of battery as well, so they've both expelled both their electrical power, but Quinn does take the position. So these two, of course, Quinn now the RDR, the Red Dragon Racing driver, makes his way up past Yuri as Team Speed loses a member, but also it just looks as though we've got Rage Man in the... That's the exit of between turn 10 and turn 11 that's had an issue, but he's got going again. So we've gone back to being green, fastest lap of the race last time around, for our pole sitter, I believe it was. No, for the man in second position, for Michelle Goris. So we've got another yellow for Newgarden, who's have a shocking race. He, as you say, must have some significant damage. As Quinn, that's a big cut there to get that 3 seconds. So that's a real one to hurt, as because he's starting to pull away from Yuri. But yeah, that was a big cut. Vitinho retires from the session.
I was about to start praising Quinn because he had saved about 15% extra ERS, and he still has that, but he's just pushed his luck trying to go for the DRS or trying to get Yuri out of the DRS, which makes sense, but if he had that extra ERS, now he's going to have to use it. He's got the penalty as well, and look, he's absolutely fine on the main straight. There was no need to push that hard. Although I would say that Yuri, it looked to me like he cut turn 1 on the last lap, so he may well be on some warnings. In fact, I can check that for you. And yeah, I think Quinn will be hoping he picks up a few of those warnings. In fact, he didn't even pick up a warning for that turn 1 on the last lap, so it just looked a bit close. But yeah, it's a bad sign when 11 laps into your 36 lap race you already have a penalty.
Yeah, and I am expecting a couple more penalties from these guys. As down the inside goes Rico on Bazza, gets the move done. Rico, of course, pole sitter, and he's actually having to give that one up. So he's going to lose, possibly even lose out to Rageman. So did he do that off the circuit? It looks as though he got it done clean, but he looks as though he just pulled to the side, let him back through. Rico, of course, pole sitter in the opening race of the season back at Hungary when it was dry before it went wet, and he's now going to sit behind Bazza once again. He's on the battery, so these guys are using battery very, very early on. It's hard to recover around here because there's a lot of straights and not too much braking when it comes to heavy braking zones. It's only really turn 1 that you tend to put a lot more energy back into the recovery system. But bit more DRS for Rico, challenging the back of Bazza, and Rico running the Porsche 962 Jägermeister livery from 1986, which is quite a nice one to go for. He's actually wearing the same hoodie at the moment whilst he's racing. He showed us a picture early on. He's going to try and go around the outside of Bazza. Bazza's going to make it hard for him, and Rico's going to have to go off the circuit. Robert Border's going to try and make this 3 wide. He had a slight invitation to the party there, but very much Rico gave that one up.
Sorry to interrupt. Quinn has just gone barreling down the inside from so far back on Lesty, and this is going to be contact and side by side for a lot longer than Quinn needed, and this is going to let Yuri right into this as they continue to wheelbind the front two.
Yeah, on board now with the race leaders, as you say. A big set.
No,
and around he goes,
Quinn.
and that's Quinn done.
Man.
Front end damage, and he's going to try and flat spin it round, and
Safety
it brings
car.
out a safety car.
Well, that slightly bails him out because he'll at least get himself into the pits and not lose as much time. However, of course, it costs him the net lead of this race, and that is a real shame because what he had done, he'd blown all his ERS by the time he got to turn 4, and so he just sent it on Lesty. There was no real need to do it. It's only lap 13 of the race. Be patient. He's going to pit anyway. Move. Just be patient. But he didn't do it. And eventually he got a bit too trigger happy on the throttle. Got way too much on the curb when he went to the S's. And, well, he'll pit now. And let's see how much time he loses. I reckon he'll come out in about 7 for 8. Although
Yeah,
it doesn't change the whole front wing, doesn't
They
it? So it
did,
might be worse.
they did have quite a gap though, so maybe he won't lose too many positions. Of course, under safety car, so it will be an extra 4 seconds, 4, 5, 6 seconds added with the wing change. But
He might be DS out then, actually.
yeah, it's not going to hurt him a massive amount. But of course, this is an unsanctioned stop, so that just doesn't count as his second mandatory. And Quinn back out, and he's going to lose that position to
quite.
Jess. So he does just get out behind her. So drops down to P7, and I'm sure Lesty will not be overly happy as well with Quinn's driving, just overdriving the car once again. Unfortunately for Quinn, just forcing the issue, which is the unfortunately the tail of the tape when it's Danny Quinn. And he is now down in P7. Kingan behind him. Of course, these guys now all with time penalties. Jacko's been in for a stop as well, so he's gone on to a set of soft tyres. So he's looking for a short stint on these softs to make up some positions before he can make his second mandatory. So not a bad call there from Jacko.
Yeah, we've seen it work for him before in the past. It's one thing we can never judge him for because it worked for him in Saudi Arabia last season. The idea here is gain 2 or 3 positions on a restart, get to your next pit stop a few positions ahead of where you were. You don't lose anything by pitting in this sort of situation because you've already made your first mandatory stop under green flags, which he did. And yeah, you can only really gain from this sort of position, especially where he is in the race. He's right at the back of the non-lapped runners, so yeah, nothing to lose doing this.
No. So, run down, lap 15 of 36. It is Lesty leading from Yuri. Yuri, one more stop left to make. Michel Goris has got himself back up into P3, so he'll be quite happy with that. Risky in P4, Splinter in P5, Jess P6, Quinn now down in P7 after that contact. King in P8, Harry Collier on his Joker, which is pretty much done after that puncture. P9, Jacko on the new tyres P10, Robin Border in P11 with Rico P12, Bazza and Speed Newgarden. Newgarden's just out of the box now, but he's a lap down. He's having a shocker. He's basically going to be crawling around for points. He is 14th with Bazza, as I say, in 13th position. And Newgarden, unfortunately, that Denny Hamlin luck has not come to fruition as Jacko's actually let him go to try and keep him on the same lap. But I mean, that's certainly not the route you usually go, Matt.
Wow.
Why not? I mean, his photography skills are slightly better than his driving skills with that braking point into turn 1. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what Denny Hamlin is thinking with that one. Bazza equally, he's had a race that's tended to be more on the runoff areas than the actual circuit itself. And well, Bazza, actually the man behind the character Snuffleupagus in Sesame Street.
Of course he is.
He is. He also provided the voice capture for 19 different characters in the Muppets, including Chicken Number 3 and Beaker.
Nice.
So yeah, so Bazza down in P13. He would be hoping for a better run tonight. He was solid actually at the weekend down at Thruxton, but unfortunately can't translate Thruxton up to Mexico City as he sits there in P13. As I say, Rico P12, Robin Border almost loses on the exit of the curbs at turn 11, but he's running around at the back trying to catch up to the pack. Equally, he's got Newgarden, I believe, in front of him, so they are way off the back of the pack and probably heading their way towards being a lap down, because into the box now comes Bazza and Rico, so they're making a very late jump into the pit lane.
Both lapped in the pack, so they're just getting themselves out of the pack there, I think.
That's sort of 3 people already lapped on lap 15. That's a one's going to hurt, but Robin does get them his way past as Rico unfortunately hasn't quite got on the throttle yet, and Baz has pulled up alongside him and saying hurry up.
He's not passed him illegally, has he?
Oh, guys, it's all falling apart back here. What's everyone doing?
Big accident. Rage Man's actually managed to spin on the straight at about 2
Oh no, we've got 2 of
them.
them. Baz has done exactly the same.
I don't quite understand how Rage Man's been able to do that, but it at least resolves the whole passing people under yellow flags. The one who's done it just crashes himself out of the way, of course. I think that's Newgarden now doing it correctly by going completely off the road to let them back through. And, well, do you know what? With people making mistakes like this all the time, Newgarden, you might as well keep going, even if the car's undrivable, because he's already going to be up to 13th place, which is probably 3 more positions than he thought he was going to get, based on how damaged that car appears to be.
Yeah, might as well. And I mean, you could even go for the no one's going to notice. Just do it for the car tactic and just put it in AI for the rest of the race. But safety car in this lap. Lesty will be leading us away. Yuri will be hoping to get past him. He's now not got to worry about Quinn, because Quinn down behind Jess, so he's going to have to go aggressive or start. So it might be worth, Owen, you just being Quinn cam for turn 1, because I imagine there might be a bit of a lunge as he rubs his hands together there.
Yep.
As Yuri will be doing the same, trying to get past Matt Lester. Of course, Yuri got slightly newer tyres, only slightly, than Matt Lester. And it is now Lesty, the one that gets to gauge the restart. He's really lighting up the rear tyres, waiting. Any time from now, this safety car, the DRS line, safety car line that he can go. So just waiting. It's going to be that long drag. You want to wait as late as possible, because, of course, it is a very long straight and it's a good restart and a big crash behind.
That was Splinter cutting right across. Maybe you got a little bit of help, but that could have been so much worse as they fly down towards turn 1, Gareth.
Yeah, down into turn 1 goes Michel Goris, and both Yuri's going to try and go around the outside to the inside. And can he get the move done on Matt Lester? They're side by side. Good racing between the pair of them. Matt Lester loses the back end, and he's going to lose a couple of positions here. Michel Goris is going to try and go down the inside, as Risky comes over to cover off his move. So the 2 speed drivers now 1 and 2. That makes it speed 1, 2, 3 if Michel Goris can get down the inside on Matt Lester. So it's been a horror restart for Matt Lester, but he does manage to look as though he's going to try and recover P3. But Michel Goris swaying around the outside, but it's going to have the inside line now into the sweeping corners, and the left-hander at turn 7. Who's going to get the run? It looks as though they're still side by side. This is excellent racing between the pair of them, wheel banging, and you can see it's going to hold up the rest. It's going to hold up the pack.
Quinn, quite how he still has his front wing, actually. He's bounced off the front and the rear left tyre off Kanan, and he's still going to pass him by the end of the S section. So lucky escape, but not there. He's hit him for the 3rd time, and this time it's sent him round. Ah, what a shame. What a shame. The race was going so well for him. He's the one who brought that safety car out, and now, well, he's going to get his karma for that.
Yeah, that's a JACKOCAR NFA, unfortunately. That was 2 guys going side by side after a little bit of tagging, and, well, unfortunately, that doesn't always work. So I'm sure Danny will be feeling slightly aggrieved about it, but unfortunately that is a NFA. But, yeah, it is.
We didn't even realise that, did we? That was... he only could pit on lap 18, or else he would have been breaking the rules. So, thank goodness for that. His first mandatory pit stop, done and dusted. Quinn's last, done. Well, actually, Quinn should have stayed out another lap, shouldn't he? Because those hards are a bit useless at this point. He has to wait another lap to pit. Yeah,
I think the man to watch at the moment as well is Jacko, P5. He's on those fresh softs. Around goes Splinter. Yeah, as you say. So that's Williams FW13B, unfortunately, now pointing in the wrong direction. But Jacko, on the new softs that he was utilising between stints, he's now on the back of Kingan, and he's much, much quicker. You can tell that he's got a huge traction advantage. Is he going to look for a move into the stadium section? Because he's starting to lose time behind the leading three at the moment. So thinks better of it. And Kingan's going to go defensive. But Jacko just needs to line him up, get him ready for the main straight, and hope we don't get another safety car, because we've got Bazza that's had an issue in the sweepers as well. But it looks as though he's got it going. DRS is now enabled, so you can use it any time from now. And will it be activated for Jacko? As he's going to sit there, and that rear flap will not open. So it hasn't opened for Jacko as he goes down towards turn 1, and he's not quite close enough. You can see Kingan moving side to side. That's an aggressive weave, and that's going to put you offline, Kingan. And Jacko perhaps could have even just shaped him up. Yeah, there you go. Just shape him up for this corner here. Yeah, because unfortunately Kingan put himself offline as Jacko tries to cut back to the inside, and Kingan's doing as much as he can, and probably could have made it a little bit harder there, but he's going to try and sweep around the outside and hold it in for the inside, and that is aggressive, and that's actually, unfortunately for Kingan, a little bit of karma as he goes backwards, as he sent it on Jacko. Jacko held his line, and Kingan is now flat spinning his way around the circuit.
Jess will have had a heart attack watching him rejoin the track. Luckily he timed it to perfection, but my goodness, that was close. And that was an attempted bump and run. Didn't really work, unless Jack has ended up with damage, but I don't think he has. And have you seen a less deserving front two for a Kia Series race? But we're going to watch them fight anyway, or are we going to watch Yuri pit? It's happened again. Yuri's resisting the pressure by pitting and making his next mandatory stop, of course, lap 19. Was the first lap you could make that mandatory, and Yuri would have got the playoff one as well at the end of 18.
Yes.
So he's getting everything he wants here.
Yep, so stage 1 goes to Risky, stage 2 goes to Yuri, and that does leave the Dutchman now down, hoping to get a good fight back from what will be around about P4, P5, he'll be coming out. As in fact, he's just lost out there to Splinter, so Splinter just gets Yuri on the exit of the pit lane, as Yuri's going to bring those tyres up to temperature, so he doesn't want to push too hard too early, because we know that getting the warm-up on his tyres is a little bit trickier on this game compared to previous games, of course, with the lower tyre temps out of the tyre warmers, so it's all about just bringing them in gently. And he's got Lesty 3.2 seconds behind him. Lesty, of course, came in onto the soft rubber, so he's got some work to do, as those soft tyres will probably get him up to the back of Yuri. However, it's all about looking after him for as long as possible, and perhaps even hoping for a later safety car to bunch the pack up, because you can see the gaps between everyone is really starting to open up now. We've only got Yuri that's within the 1 second window, Michelle 2 seconds behind Risky, 9.4 now back to Harry Collier, and Harry Collier, of course, still on the Joker, so still running one stop. However, those tyres will start to fade, and he's got 8 seconds between himself and Splinter, so some work to do, unfortunately, for Harry Collier to look after those tyres. And we've got Bazza off again, and looks as though he's got it restarted, but we are still green. As I'm kind of getting flashbacks to last week when we had 5 safety cars. Basically, had about 3 or 4 green laps in the entire race. So it brought.
I do recall actually watching this now, actually thinking about it, because I do remember tuning in at one point to hearing you absolutely moaning about it.
That's not moan. I mean, I think it brought me to tears at some point.
Yeah.
But
Not surprising.
As Splinter now out of the pit lane, is he dropped behind Jess, and is he going to drop behind Kingan as well? It's going to be close. They're both on the loud pedal. Kingan's on the outside, Splinter's on the inside. Splinter, of course, on the colder tyres. He's going to try and squeeze Kingan to the outside. Kingan with the advantage on the tyres. Yeah, does sweep round the outside, and nice and respectful between the pair of them. Splinter doesn't really have anything to answer for there, as he's on that tyre warm-up phase, and he can now chase down the Swede and Jess, who's now sitting in P7.
Bit early in the race to say it, but it's a slight lull. I know we had safety cars for it, but we are going to have to pick our favourite liveries here tonight, and I'm just saying it, Quinn's already getting my vote before you take it off me.
Really?
Do you not like it?
Nice.
In the sun. In the sun, give it a wee look. The yellow is like very nice. Don't you think it looks good?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I see. It depends on. Well, I like complexity, and to me, that's just a blue and yellow livery.
I don't know. I think it gets the colours across very nicely.
Oh, it's not. It's not.
The yellow is pretty much sexy as it could be.
Yeah,
especially in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
I have to go through and who else I.
Yeah, it's a shame I can't look at Patinu's anymore, even though the chat don't like the fact that I like a Ferrari.
Yeah,
But
it's disgusting.
It's really nice though.
I'm actually I'm a big fan of New Gardens. I do like the white, the purple, and the orange. I do think that looks quite nice. That's done very nicely. Who else have we got? We've got. So Yuri's for the image that you put along isn't bad. I would have put the blue a little bit darker, but I think he's done a good job with that. Lesty equally is the same sort of colour scheme as Quinn, as they're both running. In fact, they're both actually running the same livery, I believe. I'll just double check. I've got the So Matt Lester's running the 2006 Renault, so it's the 2004 versus the 2006. So, I mean.
I can't pick two Renaults, but that does look good as well.
Yeah, it's exactly.
What can I say? It's a livery I really like.
It's that mild 7 livery, isn't it? As Michel Goris. Yeah, he is. As we're talking about liveries, there is a race going on. Don't worry. We have got an overtake as Leslie now down in P4 as Michel Goris goes past. Leslie, of course, has no soft tyres.
I'm going to choose both Renaults. I'm going to choose both Renaults, I think.
What we're saying about is we've got a yellow flag. Who's that for? We've got as a yellow car. Is that? I mean, there's 4 yellow cars unfortunately this evening. So
where Quinn and Baza were, I would have actually said Matt will be Baza, but it's looking like he's really struggling, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, they could be. We're not just going to say that it's a poor track, of course. If you pick yourself up rear diffuser damage or rear wing damage here, especially into this section and the sweeping section in sector 2, can really hurt you. So,
you have to have an accident for that to happen though. On these curbs, generally the curbs on simulation damage will break your car.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and we saw that in Spa last week in Cup, that going up Eau Rouge and Radion was picking up floor damage and diffuser damage for the majority of the cars. I think Jamie Wright had it, Kyle Smith had it, where several cars were picking up damage for literally just riding a curb, which is definitely not broken at all.
No wonder Kyle went up there and paused.
Exactly. He took the... So, what have we got? Lesty still now within that 1 second window of Michelle after losing the position the last time around. Risky has now got a 19.3 second advantage over Yuri. So Yuri's recovered back to P2. We've got Bazarov again at the same corner. He's going to be getting Vietnam style flashbacks to that later when we've got his eyes closed. So through does go the Lotus of Risky, and actually puts him offline a little bit there. So you probably should have been getting a warning for that one, because carried a bit of speed, and we'll find out if the Lotus is getting in trouble for track extending. But he's got quite a healthy margin, but he does have a penalty to his name, of course, 3 seconds going the way of Risky. So it is really a battle at the moment between Risky and Yuri. Michelle trying to stay in it, 3.2 seconds now behind Yuri. And then, of course, we've had Quinn having his own separate issues. He's on soft tyres now, which are unlikely to get to the end. It's going to be a bit of a push. They will be very, very worn come the end of this race. So they could all do, really, and in fact we could do with a late safety car. And I didn't want to say that because safety cars aren't that entertaining to watch. Risky really does kick the rear end out there, but
having fun out there.
We could do with closing this pack up a little bit, as into the bits comes Rico out of P11.
I feel like we at least wait for all the pit stops to be finished though. Lesty and Risky, get them in, then we can see what the safety car would do. Although in fairness with Risky, I'd almost be better saying what happens when this stays green, because the longer he stays out on this, could he perhaps stick some softs on and try and chase Yuri down? Might be quite difficult, but he can certainly fight for a podium from here. Although he does have a penalty, doesn't he, of 3 seconds, but the pace is quite good, honestly. Yuri's not flying up to the back of him exactly, and Risky's haven't actually probably his worst lap yet, but I don't think it's actually looking all that bad. He has to run the soft tyres, actually, looking at his strategy, he has to. So, he's going to be quite interesting. So, maybe stay green just for that, as we just saw Yuri pick up a penalty as well. So that is going to invalidate Risky's one. It's going to put Michel Goris now right into the frame as well.
Yeah, so if you're Michelle, you're basically tiptoeing through the rest of this race and hoping that it goes your way, because of course Rishi does need to make that second stop. He'll be making that, I imagine, in the next few laps. He was, of course, the driver that took stage one. Yuri took stage two, and of course it looks as though Risky's going to be taking away the playoff point for most laps led as well. He's been out there. He's got another yellow in sector two. This time it's for Rico that's gone around on those brand new tyres, and it's brought out a safety car.
Well, that, like I say, part of me is excited, but part of me is really annoyed that we're not going to see how Risky's thing works out. Because he built up a really decent lead and was holding on to it. I mean, he was making Yuri push so hard, he was picking up penalties. Michelle Goris will be happy enough with this, Jacko as well. Harry Collier had to pit out of his Joker, but is now going to be right up to where he should be, arguably at the front. So, there are positives to it, but I think Risky will be sitting there feeling a little bit sorry for himself. And frankly, Yuri with his penalty might well be as well.
Yeah, Risky's going to be gutted with that, because I imagine he would have been coming in the next, two laps or so. And that was really a safety car born out of not much. Yeah. Risky, does he give up the mediums? He's thinking about it. No, he decides better of it, as he was very slow around the pedal tarda. And he's going to stay out, lead another lap, so he's going to add is very much going to take home the most laps led in this one. However, when that pit stop does come, it will very much put him at the back of the field with only a few laps led. So he's going to need basically a safety car coming out with maybe lap 34 or 33, 34, and when you get one of those 2-lap dashes to the flag, and just hope to make up some points. Yuri will be happy with that, but he will need to break a 3-second gap over Michelle. And as you say, Matt Lester in P4, Jacko P5, Harry Collier will be happy on these new tyres. He has given up the Joker advantage, but does have the freshest of all the tyres in the entire field at the moment. So he will be out there in P6, Splinter P7, King in P8, and Jess Quinn now is it worth Quinn getting off those soft tyres and maybe going on to another set? Because 7 laps already as he's trying to stick to a delta. Is it worth Quinn just jumping off these tyres, maybe losing a position? It's only going to be... No, it's not even a position, because everyone below him is a lap down. So
yeah, it's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, he stayed out. I would have brought in... You might have sort of gone onto a brand new set of softs there, because everyone else behind you is a lap down. And Quinn's decided to stick it out there and perhaps try and take these tyres to the end, because the safety car is going to be out for at least another lap, because there's quite a bit of field spread at the moment. You can see that we've got Newgarden still coming down the main straight now. Rico's only just exited the final corner, and the safety car is about to reach the final corner. So whilst the safety car won't wait for all these guys to catch up, it will wait for at least the majority of the field to bunch up over the next lap and a half or so. So yeah, strange decision there from Quinn not to at least give himself a bit of tyre, unless he didn't have any more fresh softs left. But that would all depend on what strategy he chose when it came to tyre strategy at the start of the evening. And Danny Quinn actually has recently caught up in an investigative sting, and as he was attempting to create a cash for votes scheme in the attempt of winning all drivers of the day this season. It actually sullies his career further. He found he actually attended the January 6th insurrection attempt at Washington, D.C. in 2020, but he was caught on CCTV in the USA Capitol holding a sign saying RDR is Team Trump. So weird team over there at Red Dragon Racing, but I'm sure there's a reason for them. But what can Quinn do from P10? As Jacko does come in this time around, though, so Jacko's decided that he's going to risk the soft tyres and dropping a couple of positions. So he's gone aggressive this time around, which I think actually is the right thing to do.
I'm not sure it's even a risk, to be honest with you, because Risky will pit out of the way. Yuri has a penalty. If he has the pace, you may be able to catch up to that. Caden, penalty, not going to be a problem. So that could be back up to 7 for 6 straight away. And then it's about if you can pass people in front of you. Jess, I reckon you'll get through Splinter, probably. So, it could be a top 4, maybe top 3 if it works out for him in his favour. Just keep it on the track. Don't get any penalties if you're on this sort of strategy, obviously. But yeah, I like that this is a strategy he always ends up going for. I've noticed he's also quite low on fuel. In fact, everyone appears to be quite low on fuel, so they're all doing a good job of that. But the safety car is going to start another lap, so, or at least, well, we'll wait a second, because sometimes it's going to be really late, but it looks like it's going to start another lap. that'll mean Jacko gets more purchase out of these softs because obviously that's one more lap where he doesn't have to ruin them. So yeah, this is potential for him.
Yeah. What's he got? Yeah, like, as you say, Risky will be out the way, and there's plenty of drivers. Yeah, Jess is in as well, so she's decided to make a late call into the box. So that's going to promote Jacko. It's going to promote Quinn. It's a tough call, this one. Jess called that too late. She saw Jacko had gone in, and she's called that too late. She could have made that almost immediately if she was a bit braver, and would have cost her a heap of less time than what she's going to lose. So Jess will unfortunately drop a couple of positions.
It's not the end of the world, though.
Which
I think she'll be all right.
Yeah, and she'll be hoping to, as you say, just do what she usually does and just be consistent, pick up some points. She's still second most overall points in the league so far. She's actually the current advisor to the Plymouth MP, Johnny Mercer. She's been recently trying to use her influence with him to get a meeting with Boris Johnson to make a guest appearance in the One Hub charity race at the end of the season. So not quite sure. Thibaut Courtois, maybe. Boris Johnson, I'm not quite sure about. But that's what Jess has got herself up to at the moment. Risky still leading, however, from Yuri. Michelle Goris in P3. Lesty P4. I'm worried about those tyres for Lesty. 11 laps on the softs. Still 7 laps left to go.
Yeah, that's going to have to need another mandatory anyway, isn't it, Lesty? I think he pitted on lap 17, 18,
believe
didn't
so.
he? So I think he has to pit again anyway, which is... Yeah, that's a problem for him. For the second safety car restart in a row. But, well, Risky, he's got to be a little bit upset here. And the worst thing is, he's on the worst tyres, which means his purchase on this restart might not be particularly good. And if you're Michelle Goris right now, what do? Do you attack at the guys who have penalties? Do you protect knowing that the guy behind you is going to have to pit? What do you do on this restart? This is going to be fascinating.
Well, all the speed guys will be together. Risky's gone, and in fact, he's dropped Yuri. So Yuri didn't quite get the snap that Risky had, but he's going to be already in the tracks. As down the inside, you can see Lesty battling away with Michelle Goris, and behind them, Harry Collier is up there as well. So Harry now up into P4, so he's had a good restart. He's already moved up past Lesty on those tyres. Yuri does get up the inside of Risky, so they've swapped positions. So is this a case of Risky now knows that he's out of the race? He's got to pit again. Is he going to go play rear gunner as a team speed member for Yuri? And will we see Michelle Goris go down the inside of Risky into the next few corners, or is Risky out for himself? Does he want another race win to add to his JACKOCAR resume? We will find out in the next few laps or so, as Quinn now up past Splinter for 7th position as they're battling it out down towards the back end of this field. And in fact, they're still side by side as King and Splinter now try and track it in towards the sweeping section, and King are now up into P8 as Leslie and Jacko trade places.
Jacko's having a fantastic restart. It's going to as well as he could possibly have imagined. A podium definitely on the cards if he keeps this up. And he'd be on the back of Harry Collier and Michelle Goris, who, as long as they save in 3 seconds to Yuri, could be Michelle Goris, Harry Collier and Jacko all fighting away for the win. Because, I mean, Yuri has the oldest tyres out there. He has the penalty. I'm sure Risky's going to have to pit on this lap because there's no point in saying it. It's going to lose some time. But Harry Collier is struggling. Jacko already on the back. This is going to be for a net 3rd position. In fact, it will just be for flat out 3rd position. It's a net 2nd position if he can get himself down the inside. He's got a decent amount of ERS as well. Hasn't used all of it on that restart yet. Using the little bit of extra he had built up there to just confirm the position. But yeah, on much better tyres, can Jacko get himself up to the lead of this race? I mean, the cynic in me says he's not fast enough, just naturally, compared to Yuri. That's not like actual slander, although he may think it is. But the tyres might well just give him the edge he needs, and this will be interesting to see, because will Yuri try and muck about with Michelle Goris? I'm not sure he's going to be able to pull away. Looks like Michelle's doing a decent job, so yeah, this is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, Dutch Boy hasn't got a chance in P1 at the moment because...
Not right now.
No, because Michelle, as you say, without that 3-second time penalty...
Jacko's actually flying.
Yeah, and as you say, Jacko is very much pedal to the metal at the moment as he's really cruising up to the back of these guys, and I believe Jacko's probably sitting in the team speed chat as well, so he will be saying, yeah, I'm faster than you guys. So, but, of course, there is no reason that either one of them would want to give up a race win here, because it's in Yuri's interests that Michel fights with Jacko.
Michel's coming through.
And Michel is looking at the inside, but he's already out of battery. He's down at 2% already, halfway down the main straight. So he's utilised everything since this restart. And Yuri's going to be able to battle him back, because Yuri can use it to defend. So Michel's going to take the inside line. Yuri is going to track with him. But all this is doing is allowing Jacko.
Terrible.
Yeah, so they're
That's
just
terrible.
They're not working together.
What are you doing, guys?
And he's going to go back at him. They're side by side. Jacko is back on the battery. He's back on the button. And is he going to just sit there and let these guys fight between themselves, as Yuri's going to give up the place? Jacko is going to try and go around the outside of Yuri here.
Done.
And Yuri just gives him a shovel outright and gets him a 3-second time penalty for that. So doesn't get taken off. But
I don't think you can get these taken off. I think he's just got to take that and move it on. So he's going to have to get ahead and make 3 seconds. And, that'll be a healthy friendship ruined there.
as Yuri loses his invitation to the next karting. And around he goes as well. And that is in the wall. And Jacko are so unfortunate for him, as we've got a heap of time penalties coming up as well. Is this going to bring out another safety car?
Could do.
As we've got a slow car, but the debris is off the circuit. So, unfortunately for Jacko, what was looking as though it was at least a P2, if not a race win, is now lucky to be a top 10 finish with that front wing damage. And he's now losing the position to Risky as well. So Risky on that recovery drive as Splinter gets past Harry Collier.
Second place. How is that happening? As the front two keep fighting away, it could even get better for him at this rate. For Splinter, so keep your eye on him, because these front two are just being flat out idiotic at this point. Unless Yuri's doing this on purpose to try and put Michel Goris off like he did to Jacko, to push him off and give him a penalty. I don't think Michel is dumb enough to fall for it, though. What it is doing is giving everyone else in the grid a chance. And yeah, I mean, he's only got 4 laps to make this happen. The problem is all the people he's backing up is just more positions he's going to have to lose. He's going to have to get Michel Goris 1 more warning to get him a penalty. Splinter has also got to get 1 more warning. Harry Collier has also got to get 1 more warning. So it's possible, it's not likely, but by the looks of it, he's going to back them all up and try and make it happen anyway. Yeah, and they're now starting to come up to the back of Bazza, who's making his seemingly every minute yellow flag at the turn 9 corner, but that car is, of course, not going to ghost in front of Yuri. So does Yuri get some slipstream off of it? Does Bazza kind of stay in this battle? Because it is Yuri from Michel Goris. And yeah, I think this is the prerogative. Well, it depends on where Yuri sees this championship fight going. Is he willing to let Michel into the playoffs? Of course, going through and getting that advantage. Or, as you say, does he force him out wide and try and get him that 3-second penalty and take another race win to add to his tally? But Michel has used up his battery and is now leading this race. Yeah, he's not going to lead it for long, though. He's got absolutely nothing to fight with after this DRS zone. Yuri has got this in his hands, and his hands only right now, as long as he doesn't spin off. Because, I mean, nearly 70% ERS, that will build throughout the rest of this lap now. Yellow's behind is just Bazza letting people through, so don't take much notice of that. Splinter will be sitting here, sniffing a race victory, of course. This falls apart for Yuri if Michel Goris can pull out a DRS range. Now, they're coming to the detection point now, and Yuri's comfortably inside. This is going to be a very interesting last 2 laps, because they're all going to be playing chicken with each other, and Splinter has some decent ERS over Michel Goris, which I would argue puts him in the pound seats, because there's no way Yuri isn't going to fly straight past Michel, surely. Yeah, and this is the case of, is this the case now when Yuri now plays defensive against Splinter, or does he have enough? Because of course they're on the same same tyre. No, he's pushing.
Yeah, but you can tell he's going to try and defend, surely, because Michel, of course, needs to win to go and advance through to the playoffs. He doesn't have one so far. He's got a couple of pole positions, but not yet a race win. And Splinter, not quite close enough on this penultimate lap to make a move on Yuri.
Yuri looked happy enough actually there to stay in second place. He looked more than happy enough. He turned his DRS off early on that straight. Unless maybe he's saving it for the last lap, I don't know. They've got the gap now, 5 seconds behind Kanan, because he and Harry Collier have been going hammer and tongs for the last lap, and they're still at it as they head through the middle sector in what is a bit of a pointless fight for them, really, because, Kanan has the penalty anyway, so they're just slowing themselves down, really, which allows Yuri to try and control this. If he can do it, I'd be quite surprised getting 2 people a penalty in the same lap. But, I mean, we saw how easily he got Jacko his. So, yeah, let's see what he does here. He's not even using DRS here. He's going to have as much power as you could possibly want for this last lap. And Splinter's been smart. He's kept saving as well.
Yeah, he has, and we're about to start the last lap. Harry Collier picks up 3 seconds. That's going to drop him behind Jess if they hold position as Bazza once again brings out a yellow flag. Equally, that's one for Risky bringing one as well. So Risky's had an issue. Ever since that stop, he's now made 2 stops since then. And unfortunately for him, he's now bringing out the yellows. But down the main straight, all things equal. Yuri not having to defend, Splinter just isn't pushing. I mean, maybe is he just hoping for a P2 here? Because does he think that even if he passed Yuri that he can't attack Michelle? Because Michelle's got no battery left, and if I was Splinter, he's still got 40% battery left. I would have used all of that down the main straight to close out on Yuri, because Yuri isn't going to attack Michelle at this point. There's no point for the 2 speed members to hurt each other like that. So Splinter's kind of just cost himself the chance of a race win by not being a little bit more aggressive over Yuri on this last lap. So Michelle Goris looks as though he's going to come and take his first race win of the season. Yuri will drop down behind Splinter, will still hold on to a podium. So another playoff point for him. And Splinter will take a podium and a playoff point added to his tally. But, well, it's been a topsy-turvy race. We've not really known who was going to win this one. It looked as though it was going to be Risky all the way up to the end of this one as they're closing in on, I believe, Newgarden. The fireworks are out in the stadium section, and the top 3 are going to come across the line, split by around about a second. But it is going to be Michelle Goris, your race winner here for round 4 of the JACKOCAR Kia Series. He takes the race win. Splinter does jump up to P2. Yuri down to P3. Kingan, with the penalty, is going to hold P4 with Harry Collier. Jess is going to jump up to P4, so there you go. That's what do we know? Staying out of trouble. She manages to come home in P4. Harry Collier in P5. King does get to P6. Lesty, then Quinn. Jacko will be kicking himself. He's managed to jump up past Risky as they're battling on the last lap for P9. And Jacko takes the position, but Risky's not going to let him have it. Surely there's going to be another move back from Risky into the final corner. In fact, there is. Risky tags him. It is. I mean, it does turn him around, so maybe that one will be looked at. But Risky takes the position ahead of Jacko. Jacko is still going to hold on to the position ahead of Rico. So Jacko holds P10, Rico P11, and a lap down with the likes of Bazza and Newgarden. And as I say every week, we love the Kia Series, don't we? Jamie Bromley gets the driver of the day. We're going to have to choose our own drivers of the day for this one to go up on the poll that will very shortly become only able to be voted for if you give Elon Musk money. So make sure you get your votes in early before he starts to steal money off you. And have you made up your mind yet, Owen, of your favourite livery of the evening? If it's going to be between the two Renaults?
I feel like it's really boring though, isn't it, to go for both Renaults, but I just can't pick between the 2 of them. I'll be boring and say it'll be, well, whose Renaults was it? It was Lesty's and it was Quinn's. So I liked both of them, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I know people will be very annoyed at me for saying that, but I'm going to go for 2 flipping Renaults and I'm going to let you choose between each other which is the best.
I'm going to go Newgarden with mine. I did like the purple and the white and the orange. But yeah, we'll leave that out to the general public. Who did you think had the best livery tonight? Michelle Goris, well, was it his? P1, he goes from P2 on the grid in 54 minutes 52 seconds. Jamie Bromley in P2 with Yuri Hasselager in P3. Dutch Boy himself picks up a podium. Jess in P4 with Harry Collier will be very happy, even though that's early puncher cost him on his Joker in P5. King in P6. Matt Lester in P7, Quinn in P8, Risky P9, Jacko P10, Rico, Newgarden, Bazza all finished a lap down, and then unfortunately we lost Rageman in a very strange crash. Vitinho and Matt Shepard very, very early on in this one. So yeah, well, the top guys, you can see, apart from Jamie Bromley coming up from 15th to 2nd, that's not a bad result from him. But of course, P2 to P1, P1 to P3, and P3 to P4. So the guys all relatively keeping themselves up towards the top end of the field, which is good to see. And we'll be heading over What have we got as I check over on my notes, opening up another document that I've got over here for for my Kia stuff. Is I've got all the liveries, all the driver profiles. What have I got for my notes? Saying next week will be a race in. There's a calendar on here somewhere. Over in China, so we're going to Shanghai for a circuit that does anyone enjoy driving around that track?
It's not that bad.
Oh
is it?
gosh, I don't know.
I like it.
It's
It's the only track I'm good at on TT.
oh, gosh, you want just one of those TT sweats.
Well, not really. It's one of maybe one tracks I'm good at.
That's a lie because I've seen you in Portugal.
That's true actually. That's only because Jacko what says to me. I might have been able to race there, and then he pulled the rug from under me when he says, "Actually, now screw that." So I was going to win that race, and then I wasn't allowed to take part in it.
Yeah, I fully agree and fully stand behind that decision. We couldn't possibly have you winning a JACKOCAR race.
Yeah, no, that'd be just great. Actually, that would be quite bad, wouldn't it?
But that ends tonight's JACKOCAR Kia race here in Mexico for Throwback Week. Make sure you do join us on Thursday when Jacko and Owen will be back in the commentary box for their Throwback Week race at the streets of Monte Carlo in Monaco, where you'll see some very, very nice looking liveries. If I've got the looking through the chat, of course you can find them by going to @JackoCar on Twitter, where you'll see the liveries being posted out there. And of course, you can find out more about the Kia series by going to @JackoCar2 on Twitter. That's the number 2, where either Mr. Ben Shaw or Mr. Michael O'Kk will be able to answer any of your questions about the league. Of course, we've got a few spaces. I think we've got a few spaces left in the league. So if you're out there and you think that you're of Kia pace, do get in touch and your application will be reviewed, because we'd love to get 20 of you back in Kia. But thanks very much, Owen. Great to have you back. And hopefully we've not kept you from your adoring audience for too long, and you've not shouted down the halls, and
there's no one here at the minute, luckily.
Back to normal then.
It's back to normal. I've got no one to party with tonight, so I had to buy a few ciders and just be a lonely man myself tonight.
They bought him one drink for a year, and they were like, "That's it, you're done."
Yeah, and they baked a cake.
Oh,
they did bake a cake.
Bake, or did it weirdly have a sign on the side that said Asda?
No. Baked.
Wow. Gosh, students these days.
I know, we're so good. Well, they are. I couldn't bake a cake.
But next up on Great British JACKOCAR Baking, we'll be bringing you our next. It's bread week next week. We'll work out what bread we can do. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Make sure you do join us on Thursday. I promise you, it gets a lot better than this. And
no, it does not.
What you think the commentary and the and everything that goes along with that is this is the standard? If this is the standard, then JACKOCAR has fallen.
No comment then.
Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. We love doing it. We love bringing it to you. Hopefully you have, and we'll see you next week for Shanghai. Catch you later.